Have you ever noticed something strange? Two people can celebrate their 75th birthday only weeks apart, yet 10 years later, one is still driving, walking confidently through the grocery store, remembering every grandchild's birthday and planning the next family vacation, while the other struggles to climb a single flight of stairs or remember why they walked into a room. Most people assume that's simply luck or genetics, but what if it isn't? What if the difference between independence and dependence isn't written in your DNA nearly as much as it's written in the tiny decisions you make every single day? And what if researchers studying thousands of adults between the ages of 70 and 90 have quietly uncovered 6 habits that separate those who merely grow older from those who continue truly living? Today, we're counting down from number 6 to number 1, and I can promise you this. The final habit is so unexpected that most people overlook it completely, even though it may be the strongest predictor of remaining mentally sharp and physically independent after age 75. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you may never look at aging the same way again. For decades, many older adults were told to slow down, avoid doing too much, and simply accept that getting weaker was part of life. It sounded reasonable because everyone saw it happening around them. Friends became less active. Neighbors stopped traveling. Family members gradually gave up hobbies they once loved. It almost seemed inevitable. But the newest research tells a very different story. Scientists following thousands of seniors over many years discovered something remarkable. The people who remained independent well into their 80s weren't relying on expensive treatments or miracle supplements. Instead, they practiced a handful of ordinary behaviors with extraordinary consistency. These weren't glamorous secrets. In fact, many seemed almost too simple to matter. Yet together, they created a powerful advantage that protected both body and mind long after most people expected decline to begin. That discovery changes everything, because it means aging well is influenced far more by daily choices than most people ever imagined. Before we begin, I want you to think about yourself for a moment. How old are you today? Maybe you're 75, maybe you're 83. Perhaps you're watching this because someone you love is entering these years. Wherever you are, remember this video isn't about becoming younger. It's about protecting what you still have and strengthening what you can still improve. Because contrary to what many believe, your body never completely loses its ability to adapt. Your brain never entirely gives up its ability to learn. Your muscles never entirely lose their capacity to become stronger. The question isn't whether change is possible. The question is whether you'll give your body the signals it needs before those opportunities quietly disappear. Let's begin with habit number 6, because almost everyone believes they're already doing it correctly. Yet, surprisingly, many aren't. Drinking water sounds almost too obvious to include on a list like this. After all, everyone knows hydration is important, but after the age of 75, hydration stops being a simple matter of drinking when you're thirsty. That's because your body itself begins changing in ways you may never notice. The sensation of thirst gradually becomes weaker. Your kidneys don't filter fluids as efficiently as they once did. Overnight, while you're sleeping peacefully, your body loses more water than it did decades earlier. The problem is that your brain doesn't always alert you the way it used to. So instead of feeling thirsty, you might simply feel tired, confused, dizzy, or slightly forgetful without ever realizing dehydration is the real cause. Imagine your bloodstream as an enormous highway system delivering oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and everything your organs need every second of the day. When enough water is flowing through that system, traffic moves smoothly. Every delivery arrives on time. Every cell receives exactly what it needs. But when hydration drops even slightly, traffic begins slowing down. Deliveries become delayed. Your muscles tire more quickly. Your balance becomes less reliable. Your brain struggles to process information with the same speed it once did. Suddenly, what feels like normal aging may actually be something far easier to correct. Researchers studying older adults found something fascinating. Seniors who maintained steady daily hydration experienced significantly fewer urinary tract infections, better balance, fewer falls, and noticeably stronger short-term memory compared with those who drank inconsistently. Think about that for a moment. Simply maintaining proper hydration wasn't just protecting their kidneys. It was protecting their independence. That's an incredible return from one habit that costs almost nothing. But here's where exceptional seniors separate themselves from everyone else. They don't wait until lunchtime to realize they haven't had anything to drink. Instead, they create a routine. Before coffee, before breakfast, before checking the news or answering the phone, they begin the day by giving their bodies exactly what they lost overnight. That first glass of water acts almost like restarting an engine after it's been sitting idle for hours. Suddenly circulation improves, blood pressure stabilizes, mental clarity begins returning, the entire system wakes up together. Even more interesting, many specialists recommend pairing that morning hydration with a small amount of electrolytes rather than relying on plain water alone. As we age, retaining essential minerals becomes more challenging, meaning hydration isn't just about quantity anymore. It's about helping your body actually absorb what you're drinking instead of simply passing it through. That small adjustment may seem insignificant, but over weeks and months, it can make a remarkable difference. One patient described the change beautifully after adopting this habit. She didn't say she suddenly felt 20 years younger. Instead, she smiled and said it felt as though someone had cleaned the windows inside her mind. Her afternoon brain fog faded. Standing up no longer made her dizzy. Conversations became easier to follow. Her confidence quietly returned. And that's often how meaningful health improvements happen. Not through dramatic overnight transformations, but through small daily victories that gradually rebuild the life you thought was slipping away. Yet hydration alone isn't enough, because even perfectly hydrated muscles will weaken if they aren't challenged. And that brings us to habit number 5, perhaps the most misunderstood recommendation older adults ever receive. The moment many people hear the words strength training, they immediately picture crowded gyms, heavy barbells, and complicated workout machines. They assume those days are behind them. But that's not what this is about. Not even close. Resistance isn't defined by how heavy something is. Resistance simply means asking your muscles to push against a force. That force could be a resistance band. It could be a pair of light dumbbells. It could be standing up from a chair without using your hands. It could even be carrying grocery bags with intention instead of rushing through the task. The important part isn't impressing anyone. The important part is reminding your muscles that they're still needed. Here's why this matters so much after 75. Inside your muscles, millions of tiny cells constantly listen for signals telling them whether to stay strong or slowly disappear. Earlier in life, those signals came easily. A short walk, climbing stairs, everyday chores. But as the years pass, those signals grow quieter. Scientists call this anabolic resistance. Your muscles simply stop responding as efficiently as they once did. They require stronger encouragement before deciding to rebuild themselves. If that encouragement never comes, something called sarcopenia quietly begins taking over. Muscle mass slowly decreases. Strength gradually disappears. Balance becomes less stable. Every year, simple tasks become slightly more difficult. Most people hardly notice because the change happens so gradually, but eventually carrying groceries feels exhausting. Getting out of a low chair becomes challenging. Climbing stairs requires holding onto the railing. Independence slowly slips away, one unnoticed step at a time. Fortunately, the opposite is also true. When older adults begin performing resistance exercises just 2 or 3 times each week, remarkable things start happening beneath the surface. This leg strength improves, balance becomes steadier, blood sugar regulation gets better. Even the tiny energy-producing structures inside muscle cells, your mitochondria, begin functioning more efficiently again. You're not simply building muscle. You're rebuilding your body's ability to produce energy itself. That explains why some 80-year-olds continue hiking trails while others struggle to cross a parking lot. It's rarely because one was born with better muscles. It's because one continued sending the signal that those muscles still mattered. And here's another secret many people never hear. Timing makes an enormous difference. After exercising, your muscles temporarily become much more receptive to repairing themselves. Think of them like freshly tilled soil waiting for seeds. If protein arrives during that window, repair accelerates dramatically. Miss that opportunity repeatedly, and your muscles lose one of their greatest chances to recover. It's a simple adjustment, but one with powerful long-term consequences. This is why thriving after 75 isn't about doing extraordinary things once in a while. It's about doing ordinary things extraordinarily well. But something even more surprising happens when strength improves. People don't just become physically stronger, they become emotionally stronger too. Confidence begins returning, fear of falling starts fading. They volunteer again, travel again, visit grandchildren more often, because every bit of regained strength quietly whispers the same message. I can still do this. And once that belief returns, everything begins changing. But physical strength alone cannot protect your future if your body never fully repairs itself overnight. Because every single day depends on something that many older adults unknowingly sacrifice. And that's exactly where the next habit becomes far more powerful than most people realize. Sleep is one of the few times your body works harder than you do. Yet after the age of 75, it also becomes one of the easiest things to underestimate. Many people assume waking up several times during the night, feeling exhausted every morning, or struggling to fall asleep is simply part of getting older. But the science tells a very different story. Every night, while you lie still in bed, your brain begins an extraordinary process of repair. Damaged cells are restored, harmful waste products are cleared away, memories are strengthened, hormones are balanced, and tissues throughout the body begin rebuilding themselves. The problem is that after 75, these repair systems naturally become less efficient. Your body produces significantly less melatonin. Deep restorative sleep becomes shorter, and your internal biological clock starts losing its rhythm. That means every poor night's sleep carries a much greater cost than it did 20 or 30 years ago. Instead of simply feeling tired, chronic sleep disruption begins affecting memory, balance, immune function, heart health, and even your long-term risk of cognitive decline. Researchers studying older adults discovered something remarkable. It wasn't necessarily the people who slept the longest who enjoyed the best health. It was the people who slept consistently. Going to bed within the same 30-minute window every evening and waking at roughly the same time every morning helped reinforce the body's natural circadian rhythm, allowing deeper and more restorative sleep to occur despite the normal effects of aging. Those individuals often experience sharper thinking, greater emotional stability, and noticeably better physical recovery. Even simple adjustments made a measurable difference. Keeping keeping the bedroom slightly cool, avoiding television or phone screens before bedtime, and spending just a few quiet minutes practicing slow breathing allowed the nervous system to shift away from stress and toward recovery. The body cannot repair itself while remaining in a constant state of alertness. True healing only begins when the brain believes it is safe enough to rest. But restoring the body overnight creates another important question. What exactly is the body rebuilding itself with? That answer leads directly to the next habit, and surprisingly, this may be where many older adults unknowingly limit their own recovery every single day. For years, many seniors believed they needed less protein because they were eating less food overall. Unfortunately, the opposite is true. As we age, muscles become less responsive to dietary protein, meaning they require more, not less, to maintain their strength. Every day, your body constantly breaks down old tissue and attempts to replace it with new tissue. Without enough high-quality protein, that rebuilding process becomes incomplete. Gradually, muscles shrink, strength fades, and recovery slows. It doesn't happen overnight, which is exactly why so many people mistake it for unavoidable aging. In reality, the body is simply running out of the building materials it desperately needs. Studies involving thousands of adults between 70 and 85 consistently show that those who consume adequate protein throughout the day maintain more muscle, experience fewer falls, recover faster from illness, and remain independent much longer than those who do not. Even more interesting, distributing protein across breakfast, lunch, and dinner appears to work far better than consuming most of it in a single meal. Aging muscles can only utilize a certain amount at one time, so consistency once again becomes more important than quantity alone. Whether the source is fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, lean poultry, beans, or dairy, each meal becomes another opportunity to preserve the strength that protects independence. Yet muscle alone don't determine how well someone ages. There is another organ quietly influencing nearly every aspect of health, and unlike your heart or kidneys, it depends heavily on something many people never consider a medical treatment at all. Loneliness. It may sound surprising, but researchers now describe chronic social isolation as one of the greatest threats to healthy aging. In fact, studies involving hundreds of thousands of adults have shown that prolonged loneliness carries health risks comparable to smoking heavily every single day. That isn't emotional exaggeration. It's measurable biology. When meaningful human connection disappears, stress hormones remain elevated, inflammation increases throughout the body, immune function weakens, and areas of the brain responsible for memory and decision making begin losing activity over time. Think about the conversations you've had with someone who truly listened to you. Maybe it was a lifelong friend, a neighbor, a grandchild, or someone at church. During those moments, your brain isn't simply exchanging words. It's activating complex networks involved in memory, emotion, problem solving, language, and attention all at the same time. Every genuine conversation becomes exercise for the brain itself. Every laugh stimulates powerful chemicals that reduce stress and strengthen emotional resilience. Every shared story reinforces neural pathways that help preserve your sense of identity. That's why the healthiest older adults rarely isolate themselves for long periods. Really, really powerful. They intentionally create opportunities for connection. Sometimes it's a daily phone call. Sometimes it's volunteering at the local library, attending a faith gathering, walking with a neighbor, joining a book club, or simply enjoying coffee with a friend. The activity itself matters less than the engagement it creates. Passive entertainment cannot replace genuine human interaction because your brain was designed to connect with other people, not simply observe them from a distance. Interestingly, researchers also found that combining social interaction with light physical activity creates an even greater benefit. A walk shared with a friend stimulates both body and brain simultaneously, increasing the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, often described as fertilizer for brain cells. That means one simple habit strengthens memory, protects mobility, reduces inflammation, and improves emotional well-being all at once. Few medications can offer that combination of benefits, but even after protecting your muscles, your sleep, your nutrition, your hydration, and your relationships, one final piece remains. And according to many experts, this may be the most powerful habit of them all because it directly determines how long your brain continues adapting instead of merely surviving. Most people assume growing older automatically means learning less. They begin relying on familiar routines because they're comfortable and predictable. But comfort, while pleasant, doesn't challenge the brain. And without challenge, the brain slowly stops building new neural pathways. Instead, it repeatedly travels the same familiar roads until those roads begin wearing out. This is exactly why purposeful cognitive challenge ranks as the number one habit practiced by exceptionally healthy older adults. Not crossword puzzles alone, not simply reading the newspaper every morning. Those activities certainly have value, but the greatest neurological benefits come from learning something genuinely new. A language you've never spoken, a musical instrument you've never touched, painting, photography, woodworking, gardening techniques you've never tried before, even learning to cook recipes from an entirely different culture forces multiple regions of the brain to work together in ways they rarely do during routine daily life. Scientists studying adults well into their 80s found that those who spent just 30 minutes each day actively learning unfamiliar skills experienced slower rates of brain shrinkage, stronger memory, faster thinking, and significantly lower rates of dementia compared to those who relied only on familiar activities. The reason is surprisingly simple. Your brain builds new connections only when it's forced to solve problems it hasn't already mastered. At first, learning feels uncomfortable. You make mistakes, you forget instructions, progress seems slow. Ironically, that's exactly how you know it's working. That frustration isn't failure, it's growth. Every mistake forces the brain to build another connection. Every challenge strengthens the network, protecting your future thinking abilities. One retired engineer decided to learn oil painting at 79, despite never considering himself artistic. His first paintings were far from impressive, but he kept showing up every day. 18 months later, not only had his artwork improved dramatically, but his memory tests also showed measurable improvement. More importantly, he had joined an art community, made new friends, and unknowingly strengthened both his cognitive health and his social life at the same time. One habit naturally reinforced another, creating a powerful cycle of healthy aging. And perhaps that's the greatest lesson hidden inside all 6 habits. None of them work completely alone. Hydration improves physical performance, making exercise easier. Exercise strengthens muscles, allowing greater independence. Better movement improves sleep. Quality sleep supports muscle repair. Protein fuels that repair. Social connection encourages activity. Learning new skills keeps the brain adaptable while often introducing new friendships at the same time. Each habit strengthens the next, creating momentum that grows stronger month after month instead of weaker year after year. The truth is that reaching 75, 80, or even 85 doesn't mean your story is coming to an end. It means you've reached a chapter where your daily decisions become more valuable than ever before. Your body may no longer recover as quickly as it once did, but it remains remarkably capable of adapting when given the right signals. Your brain may require greater effort to build new connections, but it never completely loses that ability. Your muscles may ask for more attention than they did decades ago, but they still respond when challenged consistently. So if you're fortunate enough to still practice even a few of these 6 habits, recognize how extraordinary that truly is. And if there's one you haven't started yet, remember this. The best time to begin was years ago. The second best time is today, because independence isn't something you lose overnight. It's something you protect one decision at a time. Take good care of yourself. Keep challenging both your body and your mind, and never underestimate what you're still capable of achieving. Your age is only one number. Your habits tell the real story. And if you continue choosing wisely, the years ahead may be far healthier, far more fulfilling, and far more independent than anyone ever told you they could be. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay curious, stay active, and remember, you are always worth the effort.